Have you been stuck at the same revenue level for months now, or maybe even years? Maybe you're doing 5K per month, 10K per month, and you're like, okay, how do I get to 20K, 30K, 50K per month? How do I 3X or 5X my business? And that's exactly what we're gonna cover in this video. What I would do if you pay me to help you scale the business, or if I was in your shoes and I was running your business, these are the things that I would do, the frameworks I would use, and pretty much see the bottlenecks of my business. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Javi, and I specialize in the financial industry to help them scale, go from 10K per month to 50K per month, 100K per month by implementing the exact same systems that allow me to scale my own funding company to $300,000 per month. Okay, let's jump right into it. So the reason you're not scaling is because nobody knows who you are, right? I know it's kind of a little bit harsh to say it, but this is just the reality. The reason why you're not scaling is because you're not advertising enough, you're not marketing enough, you're too small right now, okay? And you need way bigger exposure, right? That's literally the only reason. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's not maybe because your offer is not good enough. It's not maybe because you're getting a good results for your clients. It's none of those things. It's that nobody knows who you are. And let me be completely real with you. I know people who suck at fulfillment, but they're good at marketing and sales, and they're fucking crushing it, right? I'm not saying right now for you to completely sell a shitty product and just focus on marketing and sales. I'm just telling you that right now, if you own a funding company or a credit company and you're pretty much the best one out in the world, right? You get the best results, but you're still stuck on under 10K per month, you have a huge marketing issue. Okay. You just need more people to know who you are. Simple as that. And we're gonna cover and right now exactly what are you gonna do. Okay. So we covered that. The reason why you're not scaling, the reason why you're not big enough is because nobody knows who you are. Okay. So what do we do about that? How do we fix that? Well, essentially, you have to look at the core four. If you haven't read $100 million offer by Big Brother, the GOAT, Alex Ramosi, you have to read it because this concept is it's beautiful set in there and it's the easiest way to understand it. But I'm gonna kind of cover it a little bit in this video. So essentially, there's four ways to acquire clients, right? This is pretty much what people say. If you want to, scale the business, you got to market yourself in these four ways. So the core four. One is 100 DMs a day. Second is 100 cold DMs a day. Third is 1 to 10 pieces of content a day. And fourth is $100 a day in ads minimum, right? And the reason why I put 1 to 10 pieces of content a day, because I know a lot of people are putting maybe one and thinking that they're, they're they're the end boss. But I personally know entrepreneurs that are putting 5 to 10 a day and they're fucking crushing it, with organic, which I don't like organic too much because it's very difficult to become predictable, but it works for a lot of people. Okay. So those are the core fours, right? Now, what I want you to understand too as well is this little insight, right? I'm kind of writing here in a better way for you to understand it. So on the core fours, we also have sections. Okay, so the core four, the two tops is a one-to-one sales mechanism essentially, right? So the way you convert those leads, how do you do it? So 100 DMs a day, 100 cold DMs a day, that's a one-to-one sales essentially system, right? Then we have the one-to-many. So that will be with content or pay ads. Essentially, if you pick one of these four, you have to understand exactly what are the things that make one of those fours, right? And one is either do you want to start selling one-to-many or do you want to sell one-to-one? One is hard to scale, but because it requires a lot more effort and a lot more teams. That's the one-to-one. Because if you're doing 100 DMs a day and you want to delegate that, it's going to be harder to find somebody to train, then put him and then him to do the work. And then this one is easier to scale, but just takes a lot more optimization, a lot more tracking. Like you got to be on it so you can fully optimize it where it needs to be fully profitable. All right. So this one's easier to scale. The one-to-many, this is harder to scale. They both work. They both have the pros and cons. Now, this two to the right are people who don't know you. So you either advertising or DMing or reaching out to people who you don't know. And on the left, we're doing to people who we do know, right? So 100 warm DMs a day, those are people that could be your followers, your people who engage with your account, people who liked it, people who left a comment, your email list. It could be so many different ones, okay? Content is also people who know you. I mean, you can kind of get people who don't know you with content, but ideally is for you to keep selling your existing follower list or your existing audience, right? So it's essentially you're marketing to people who already know you and get to know you even more. Okay, so those are just some quick things to understand. Now, if you're not doing one of these, you need to start doing this one of these immediately, right? Because if you're telling me, Javi, I am not getting enough clients, and I ask you, well, are you doing any of the core fours? And you told me, no, I'm not. Well, there's your problem. That is your biggest issue right now. That you're not doing none of these. You're not sending at least 100 DMs a day. You're not sending 100 cold DMs a day. You're not putting out 1 to 5 pieces of content a day. I put here four. Put 10. You're not even spending even $100 a day on ads. So pick one of these four and do it like literally like nonstop, 100 a day. Like not 10 DMs a day, not 12. I'm talking about 100. So find 100 people that you can communicate a day, or start posting at least 1 to 10 pieces of content a day, or start running ads at least a bare minimum $100 a day. All right. Now, what if you're like, Javi, I'm already doing at least one of these four, and I am not where I want to be. Okay. And that's very fair. So, what do we do next? So, if you're already doing one of these core fours and you're not where you want to be, then the problem is, if you're doing one of these four, right? You need to ask this. The next question you should need to ask is, because maybe what you have is a volume problem, right? Maybe you are doing one of the core fours, right? Maybe you're sending like 100 DMs, or maybe you are spending $100 a day on ads, right? Why can you 4x it? That's the question we got to ask ourselves. Okay, why can I not 4x this? If I'm already sending 100 DMs a day, putting one piece of content a day, how can I 4x this? Because if you already something's working for you, you need to just do more out of it, right? Just how can we do more? So we got to ask ourselves, why can't we 4x whatever output of one of these four we're doing? Okay, so what is the bottleneck that is preventing me from scaling 4x? So that should be the question you're asking, right? Okay, I'm doing one of the core fours, but I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I'm not getting enough of the traffic that I want, right? So then you ask yourself, what is the bottleneck preventing me to 4x this current system? For example, if you're doing 100 R reach per day, what systems, tools, or people will you need to start reaching 400 members or 400 followers or 400 cold outreach, warm outreach a day, right? How can we forex that system? If you put in one piece of content a day, what will need to change, right, for you to publish 4 or 5 or 6 or 10, right? Whatever the number is for you. Every level of growth requires a new structure. Your job is to identify what is missing, right, for you to get there and build it. Okay, and I'm going to show you kind of an example that I go through my clients whenever we're going through this process, right? So let's say we want to start doing, we're posting one piece of content a day, and we want to start doing 4 pieces of content a day. Okay, so do we have, like, this is the question that you ask after, okay, I want to start doing 4 pieces of content a day. Done, right? We will go from 1 to 4. The next question is, do I have the right structure to create 4 pieces of content a day? Like, do I have the right bandwidth or ideas to start, printing 4 pieces of content a day? No? Okay, then find out how. Easy as that. Are we gonna use AI? Are we gonna hire someone to create the content for us or give us content ideas? What are we gonna do? It's gonna be AI, it's gonna be human helping me, whatever it is. But let's say you go, okay, Javi, I do have the bandwidth and the brain power, right? Or I already have the tools, I have AI, whatever it is, that I can actually create 4, 6, 7, 8, 10 a day. Beautiful. So if the answer is yes, then do you have the editors, right? Do you have the editors in order to edit those 4 pieces of content a day, or 6 or 10, whatever the number is, right? If no, the next question should be, where can I hire? Like, do I gotta go to Fiverr? Do I gotta make a post on my Instagram or Facebook? Do I gotta make a huge email campaign on everybody and see who has a potential person that we could hire? Do I have to hire a recruitment company to find me the setter? What is it, right? So if you don't have the editors, okay, then the next thing that you need to do to solve this scaling problem, right, is to find an editor, right? So what if you do already have the editors, right? Okay, I have the content ideas. I could definitely do 4 a day. I do have an editor, and he could definitely edit up to 4 pieces a day. Then my next question would be, Okay, so yes, so do you have somebody that can manage all those pieces of content per day, right? Do you have a medium, a content manager essentially, or scheduler, whatever you want to call it? You don't have it? Okay, so where can I hire them? Where can I find them? Do I gotta post on Fiverr? Do I gotta post to my existing business? Do I gotta look for a recruitment company, right? So where do I find this individual? But let's say you already solve all these three, right? This is just three that I'm mentioning. You can go very deep on this. But let's say you're like, no, Javi, actually, I do have the capability to post 4 pieces of content a day, right? I do have the capability for my editor, or my editor has the capability to actually edit 4 pieces of content a day. And then I do have somebody that can actually manage all the content and scheduling for me, right? So all of our says yes, 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 yes. Then guess what? You are ready for more. You're just not doing it. You just need to just increase the output. Simple as that, right? You don't need to go overcomplicate it. But this is kind of the mindset I go through when somebody's telling me how do I want to scale, right? Okay, so what are the things we need to scale? What are the bottlenecks? What is the is pretty much we call it economics of scale. So what is the thing preventing me to 3x, 5x, 10x the business? We look for that bottleneck. And is it a who problem? Is it an infrastructure problem? A system problem? Like, what is it? You get me? And then once you identify the actual bottleneck, we go and fix it. And then we go to more, right? And let me give you like some more example when it comes to other scenarios. Like for example, I'm gonna give you two more right here. So let's say we have a let's say we're doing 100 DMs a day, okay? And what I will do is like, why not? Can we do 1,000 DMs a day? Like, what is holding me back from doing 1,000 DMs a day, right? Or let's say you're spending $100 on ads a day, right? What is stopping you to do $1,000 a day on ads? Like, like, why not, right? So literally sit down right now. You know, you can pause this video and do it right now. Look at your current way to your current clients, right? So is it through content, to warm outreach, to cold outreach, to paid ads, right? One of the four. Write it down, okay? And ask yourself, why can't I 4x this model? Simple as that. So if you're spending $100 a day, why not 1,000? Okay, and then we go further on, right? So let's say if you do want to do 1,000 DMs a day, right? You want, okay, Javi, I want to do 1,000 DMs a day, but I need a setter, right? Because if like one person can handle so much, right? And maybe I can't do more DMs because I need more ad spend, right? So the reason why you can't do 1,000 DMs a day is because, well, you're only one person right now. Maybe you only have one setter, and that setter can only handle, let's say, 100 DMs a day, and some things are compounding. So it's like 100 now, 100 tomorrow, 100 tomorrow. So now he's having like 300 different conversations, right? So maybe it's a I need another person, right? Or I need to spend more on ads. Okay, so that's literally telling you, okay, the reason why you can't do 1,000 DMs a day is because one, maybe we're not spending enough on ads, or maybe we're not doing enough outreach, and the reason why is because I don't have the manpower or the ad budget to do so. Okay, so let's say I want to start spending $1,000 a day. So what do you need more of if you want to start spending more money? You just need more creatives. That's simple as that. You just need more creatives. Okay, and then you can ask where, if you want to hire the social media, send things from the content. Okay, where can I find more setters? Do I gotta do Fiverr? Do I gotta do a recruitment company? Do I gotta make a post? Do I gotta build my own employee and acquisition model, like the same way you acquire clients you could do with employees? So what I gotta do, right? Same thing with creative. Okay, I need better creative. I need more creative. How? Is it better creative systems? Like maybe I don't have the right system in place to have a massive output of creatives. Or is it maybe the creatives are not good enough? So every time I try to scale the creative, it completely tanks and it takes a dump, and like now my KPIs are all out of whack. So what is it, right? And then fix that. Like, and one thing I want us to keep in mind too is when you find a bottleneck of the business, don't do anything else for that month, that week, or whatever it may be until that problem is solved. If it takes you 2 months to solve that problem, Solve that problem, because that is literally what keeping you from going for 30K per month, 50K per month, 100K per month, whatever the number is, right? So it's not about solving multiple problems at once. It's finding the biggest bottleneck of the business for you to 5x, 6x, 10x, whatever the X may be, right? So what is the actual bottleneck? If you want to start doing $1,000 a day in ad spend, and the bottleneck is actually more creative and more setters, well, now you got to start thinking, okay, I need to first build a system that actually I could create more creatives, and I need a setter to take care of those all those appointments, all those influx of appointments that I'm about to get, right? So do we have an SOP problem? Do we have to hire and train? What do we got to do to find this individual, right? To I essentially handle more volume, right? And if it's a creative problem, okay, what tools out there that I can use to increase my output of creative or create better creatives, right? That could actually be the bottleneck, that your creatives just absolutely suck, and that happens a lot too. So you got to be completely real with yourself. Hey, the reason why my ads are not scaling is because my creatives are shit, and if that's the case, well, you got to fix it, so fix the actual bottleneck. Don't fix 7 different problems 1 month. Try to fix the biggest issue of the business and put all your energy and focus and your team energy and focus on fixing that problem. All right, so that is technically my mindset, or the framework I use when somebody's telling me that they're doing one of the core fours, right, and they're just not getting enough results. So they're like, Javi, I'm doing 100 warm DMs a day. I literally tell them, okay, so why can't we do 500? If 100 warm DMs a day is getting you to 10K per month, okay, does it make sense if we do 300K per month, you might make 15 or 20K per month? Yes or no? And then they respond, yes, actually, I think if I do, instead of 100 DMs per month, per day, I'm sorry, I could do 300, and that might make me 25K per month or 20K per month or whatever the number is. All right. So then I tell them, all right, so if you could do that, right, what's stopping you from doing that? And then they're going to tell me, well, I actually don't have the infrastructure, or I don't have the enough ad spend, or I don't have the employees to take that level of volume. Okay, so then what we got to do is find that individual that can handle the volume, create better ads for we can increase the ad spend. You get me? And we go down the list of the things stopping them from getting to the next level. This is literally what I do with clients of mine that pay me 15 grand, 25 grand for one-on-one consulting advice of how to scale the business. Like, we run through these frameworks. It could be other different things, because maybe we have problems in sales, maybe they have just problems in marketing, maybe they have problems with systems. But this is a way for me to find out what is the actual bottleneck for their business, like what's keeping them hitting like 30, 50, 70K per month. This kind of like the things that I go through. Another thing that I go through is this, right? This series of questions right here, right? So can you handle more leads right now? Okay. This is what I was telling you. Oh, Javi, I can't do 300 DMs a day because I can't handle more leads, right? Or I could be like, okay, can you afford more leads right now, right? So that's the budget level, right? Are you even getting the right type of leads? Do leads convert at an acceptable rate, right? Is your cost per lead sustainable? Is the lead generating your generates actually the bottleneck? And depending how they answer this, we do it if this, then that scenario. And I could explain right now what I mean by that. Okay. So let me give you, and I'm giving you guys a sauce right here. Like, this is like, people charge you an arm and leg just from the exact information. This is what, if you go to a scaling company helping you scale, this is pretty much the framework, one of the main frameworks that are going to help you understand, right? So if this, then that. So let's say you're telling me, okay, Javi, I want to scale. Then I'm like, well, can you handle more leads right now? X person, right? Prospect, lead, client. They're like, no, I cannot. Well, first we find out what's the reason why, and then fix the reason why, right? Like I was telling you before, okay, no, I can't spend $1,000 a day because my creatives are shit. Or no, I can't do 1,000 DMs a day because I don't have enough setters to handle the type of volume. Okay, so let's fix that, right? Simple as that. Like business, we over tend to complicate it because we try to put out 20 different fires at once. But once we narrow down to literally the biggest leverage that if we pull this lever, our businesses grow, right? So it will be the biggest bottleneck. If we just focus on that, business becomes very simple, okay? Because it's like, okay, I just need to hire a person. All right, done. You get me? So that's one of our jobs too, is to like oversimplify, because business could get very complex, but we like to oversimplify it and give you actionable steps to solve the problem. So if you're like, Javi, I'm at 10K per month, how do I get to fix 50K per month? Okay, we run down everything they need to do into simple frameworks, or I essentially frameworks and to-do lists that they could be like, okay, if I just do this week or this 2 weeks or this month, we're done with that. And then let's get to the next bottleneck so we can start the scaling process. Okay. So what if you're like, Javi, I could handle more leads right now? I'm like, okay, perfect. Can you afford more leads right now? Right? Like if you do have the setters, right? Okay, Javi, I have the setters. I have the ad spend. No, I'm sorry. I have the setters, but I might not have the ad spend, right? But if you do have the setters, if you do have the ad spend, if you could handle more leads, then just do more. Do more ads, do more content, do more emails, do more outreach. Simple as that, right? So the first question is, can I handle more leads right now? Yes. Okay, can I afford more leads right now? Yes. Then just crank the more knob as much as possible. Unless it's no, then you gotta fix the bottleneck. So let's say you're telling me I can't afford more leads right now, Javi. Right? All right. So you can't afford more leads right now. Are they even the right leads? I would say, because if you can't afford leads right now, it's because maybe you're not getting the right type of leads to convert those leads to you to ROI on those leads and have more money to get more leads, right? It's kind of, it feeds itself because clients are the one who's technically paid for their lead costs, right? Because the cost to acquire is built in the price. If you don't know what I'm talking about right here, then go watch my other videos on YouTube. I talk about this a lot. Let me give you a quick example. For my funding company, my offer price is $6,500. My cost to acquire on average is $1,000. When somebody pays me 6,500, I grab $1,000 from that 6.5 to pay for his acquisition, right? So now I have $5,500 left, right? So one client paid me $6,000, 6.5, and he paid for the ad spend that I spend to acquire that client, okay? And then I get another 1,000 from the 5.5 that I have left to go get another client, right? So the cost to acquire is built in on my actual price. So I have my price of the program is 6.5 for my funding services to get somebody approved 50 to 100,000 dollars, right? They pay me 6.5. I grab 1,000 to go pay for his acquisition. Then I get another 1,000 to go get another client. So one client brings me one, and then another brings me another one, and so on and so on. So technically, my clients are the one paying for my ads. That's why I'm comfortable spending $1,500 to $2,200 an day on ads, because I'm not technically the one paying for the ads. My clients are. Now, this might sound sweet. If you're the first time hearing this, of course, it's not as simple as that. You need to have a good ad, a good sales process, a good funnel, a good sales skills, like a good you need to have multiple things in place in order for that to work. This is not like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna spend a gazillion dollars on ads and my clients are gonna pay for it, but you're stuck at sales, your funnel's horrible, your offer is horrible. All these things needs to be in a place, right? In order for this strategy to work. Okay. So now back to this. Are they even the right leads, right? Because if they're not the right leads, you can't do what I just said, right? That the clients are paying for your offer and then you can get that money and then pay for the ads. Because if they're not the right leads, you're technically not making any money. So then I'll be like, are you even getting the right leads? They tell me, no, Javi, I'm not getting the right leads. Okay, is your content slash ads calling out your ideal avatar? Now, again, I have all the videos out this, how to call out your essentially your dream avatar, your ideal client. So I don't want to get too lost in the sauce here because we could talk about for a long time. But ideally is call out, right, your ideal client on the ad. So for me, I'm like business owners, right? So I want to work with business owners with a 700 plus credit score, right? Because I need to have good credit. That wants 100 grand in funding for they could start or scale the business, right? So I'm like business owner. They have a 700 plus credit score that wants 100 grand in funding, that is already in business for like, maybe a year or two, or wants to start or scale a business. So I'm like niching down who I'm talking about. Think about it like if you're trying to call out somebody in a crowd, like where's Waldo, right? You told, hey, guy with the red hat, blue jeans, and a red and striped shirt, right? And then they turn around. Because if you're in a sea of people and you say, hey, you over there, guess what's gonna happen? The whole 1,000 people, the crowd that you're in front of, they're all gonna turn around. But if you call out somebody specific, like, hey, Javi, guy with the glasses, brown turtleneck, orange watch, whatever, whatever. Turn around. I'm talking to. I'll turn around. It's like, oh fuck, he's talking to me, right? So if you're not doing that in your ads, that might be the reason why you're not getting your ideal prospects, because on your ads or on your content, you're not speaking directly to the people who you want to work with, right? Maybe you're too broad. So that needs to be checked and looked at. Okay. So now you're telling me I do have the right leads, Javi. Is your Then I'm asking, is your cost to acquire too high? What is your cost to acquire compared to others? So if somebody tells me, can you handle more leads? Yes. Can you afford more leads? Yes. Are they even the right leads? Yes. Okay, so then is your cost to acquire too high? Like, what's going on there? You get me? Like, there's a bottleneck there. So this could be multiple things. Okay. So let's say if they say if my cost to acquire is too high, right? I'll be like, is your conversion too low? Meaning, are the people like, it's essentially is like what goes into this. It could be your show up rate and your closing rate, because a lot of people don't take this in consideration that, like, let's say if you have a 50% no show rate, that's a very expensive book call. And let's say, for simple math, your cost per book call is $100, which is very solid, right? But you have a 50% no show. That means your actual cost per book call is $200, not $100, because half the people are not showing up, right? In some scenarios, it might not even $100. Some scenarios might be $300 cost per book call, 50% no show. Now your cost per book call is 600. And let's say you're horrible at sales. Let's say you have a 20% closing rate. That means you gotta literally spend, like, let me give you even simpler math that you can understand. And this will be awesome if this example, if you can truly get what I'm talking about. If your cost per book call is $100, right? And you have 100% show up rate, so it actually is costing you $100, and then you have a horrible closing rate, like 20%, like very average, then you're golden, because you speak to 5 prospects, you close them at 20%, so you close one of the 5. You technically spend $500 to make, let's say, 5 grand. Fucking awesome. But now let's say your cost to acquire, I mean your cost per book call is 250, and then you have a 50% no-show rate. That means your actual cost per book call is 500, right? And then you want to speak to 5 prospects because your closing rate is only 20%. That means you got to spend 2,500 to close a deal at 5K. You see what I'm getting at? So that your conversion being low, it could be a major sales process issue, not a lead issue, right? So you gotta like, sometimes we always want to blame the marketing. Oh, the leads suck, but maybe it's not the lead. Maybe it's your sales process, your sales skills, your sales mechanism essentially is all fucked up and is not working. So you gotta be completely honest with yourself and see what's the actual bottleneck, because that could be a problem. Okay. Another problem it could be is that your pricing, you have a pricing issue. Your CAC to LTV ratio is all messed up. Now, what does that mean? Let's say in the scenario two that I said, your cost per book call is actually $500 because you have a 50% no show, and then it's costing you 2,500 for you to acquire a client that pays you 5. So you're technically profiting 2,500, right? But what if that client pays you 15 grand, right? Your LTV, your lifetime value is like, it's not 5 grand, right? It's $15,000, right? Because whatever, like, just say that you're getting them $1 million in funding, so they're paying you 15 grand. If that's the case, then fuck it, you're golden, right? Then who cares spending 2K or $2,500 to acquire a client, because it's paying you $15,000, so you're profiting 12,500, right? So that's why, if your KPIs are out of whack, and you are generating leads, but your conversion is too low, this technically means two things. You literally have a huge sales problem, or your CAC to LTV ratio is too off. Which, if you're a funding company, it shouldn't be. You should have plenty of margins, right? Or maybe you're doing something wrong, or you know how. I mean, it's very difficult for me to tell you exactly what we're doing, because, right, you're watching a YouTube video, so I'm not speaking to you directly. This is something that we have to sit down and break down once you offer, all of this stuff, and I can help you figure it out. But again, this is a YouTube video. I'm just giving you perspective from everybody I work with, because we work with over 400 different companies, funding companies, and I've seen it all essentially, right? So that could be a huge problem. Okay. The next thing it could be is it your cost per lead sustainable? That would be the next question, right? So that leads into, do I have a sales paralysis? That leads into also to a you have a CAC to LTV ratio. It could be many things, right? So that's why, like I said, to actually find out the actual problem, we need to sit down and I gotta go through your whole entire thing and then see what is the actual bottleneck. But I can't give you right now here what could be your specific problem. But these are things that I'm giving you that you can be conscious about and being like, okay, I need to look at these things. And if I don't know these things, like if you don't know your CAC to LTV ratio, go find it out for the love of God, right? Like if you don't even know what this means, go Google it, go watch a video. What is CAC to LTV ratio, and understand these things because CAC to LTV ratio will let you know if you're ready to scale or not. So if you're talking to me right now and I'm telling you, okay, so what's your CAC to LTV ratio, and you're like, I don't even know what that is. Actually, I don't know what it is, and I don't even know what that is. Now, that's telling me that you don't know what it takes to scale. And this is a very important metric if you're trying to scale, right? Because this tells you how much you're able to scale now. Because if your CAC to LTV ratio is 1 to 2, then you know it's very difficult model to scale. Now, if it's at 1 to 7, you're like, oh, fuck, I am ready to scale and put the gas on the pedal, right? And again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you don't know what this I'm saying, go look these things up. Very important. It will determine if your business is ready to scale or not, okay? So now, how I look at this essentially is a very simple framework that I learned from, again, Big Brother, Alex Ramosi, the GOAT, right? And it's the more, better, new framework. But I would say forget about new and do more, do better, then back to more, then back to better. Hell, maybe you can go back to more again and then better, then more, then better. Rarely you want to go to new. Very, very rarely. Now, what I mean by this is that find the thing that you're doing and just crank the more knob until things starts to break or as you need to hire or build new systems, right? That's the better part. So crank the crap out of the more knob and think about your business with three different knobs, right? Is the knob of more, the knob of better, and the knob of new. Don't touch the last knob. Just crank the more knob from a volume of 1 all the way to 7, 8, 9, 10. So crank, 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 crank. Business starts to break, right? So, okay, what broke and why? Do I need better system? Do I need to hire an employee? Do I need to train better? Right? Do I got to create better ads? Do I got to create better funnels? Do I got to create better VSLs? Do I need a better sales process? Do I need a better opt-in page? Do I need a better content? Whatever the source may be, okay? Then you go back to more. Like once you fix those little things, go back to more. Crank, because let's say, so 3 knobs, right? Crack the more knob all the way to 10, things starts to break, right? Then you go to better, and then once you fix all those things, the more knob goes back to 0. So then you crank the more knob again, then things starts to break, maybe at volume 7, volume 10, volume whatever number may be, right? So then you go back to more, and then you do the same cycle again. Then once you go back to better, then you go back to better, fix everything that broke in the business again, right? And then you go back to more, and then you crank it up to things break again, and the cycle repeats. Once you are literally at like 100, 200, 300, 400K per month, right? And you've been cranking the crap out of better and more and better, then that's just when you introduce more. Do I gotta introduce low ticket? Do I gotta start advertising on a different platform, TikTok, Google, Twitter, whatever that crap it may be, right? Do I need to yeah, essentially that's pretty much some of the new things. I have a video that I'm specifically talking about this stuff, and I talk in more detail, so you can check that video out. But this is a great framework that you can look at if you're trying to scale your business. Do I gotta do more? Do I gotta do better? Do I gotta do new? Very rarely, very, very, very rarely, like out of the 470 clients that I work with, I think 2 of them we advise to do something new. Everybody else was just more and better. Sometimes even just the better part. Because a lot of people trying to scale with a very shitty system, a very shitty process, a very shitty funnel, shitty ads, shitty funnel, shitty opt-in page, shitty sales cycle, shitty everything, right? I feel like the guy from South Park, shitty chicken, shitty walk, but it's just everything just shit, right? And they're trying to scale a broken system, and that's why every time they click more, it just breaks right away because it's not where it needs to be in order to go to more. Okay, so I hope you understand that. And if you want more detail on this, I have other videos on talking about this. All right, so that is the more, better, new framework if you want to start scaling. Now, something I want to talk about too is actually saturation, because a lot of people think they can't scale because they blame that the market is saturated, but in reality, it's not. So think about this, think about this 4 different ponds, right? And we have the cold pond, the warm pond, the content pond, and the ad pond, okay? So let me better explain this. Each dot represents a unique hook, angle, or pain point your ideal client is dealing with right now. The red dots represents the specific pain points you are advertising from. The problem is that everyone is using the exact same angle on the exact same platform. That's why it feels saturated. But in reality, everyone is just fishing in the exact same pond or the exact same spot of the pond, right? So imagine this is a pond, right? And then you have essentially, let me zoom here better, right? We have, let's say we're in the cold pond, right? And all these white dots are fishing spots. But we have 30 boats or 50 boats or 100 boats all fishing in the middle. And they're saying, after like, let's say, a couple years of fishing in the same spot, they're like, oh, the fish is running out. Well, maybe it's not the fish right now. It's just like you guys just, maybe, well, technically it is drying out, but drying out of this specific spot of the whole entire lake or pond. If we just go over here or over here or whatever anywhere in the pond, we will have fresh new fish, right? But that was the problem is that people find an angle that works and they tend to just like do the same angle till the wheels fall off. And then once it starts falling off, they're like, oh, the market is saturated. It's like, no, you gotta just change your angle a little bit. Okay. So that's a thing to keep in mind because in our industry or in almost every industry that I work with, people have this like fear that like, oh, it's just too saturated. That's not the case. Okay. To fix this, you need to know your customer avatar extremely well that you can target different pain points and different hooks that attract the same audience. They still have the same core problem. You just approach it in a different lens and describe the pain in a different way. Okay. Whoops. This matter even more with the new Android update, which essentially requires each ad set to have different pain points. So the example I could give you is this. Okay. So imagine we are spending $100 a day on meta ads, right? And instead of saying only business owners that have a 700 plus credit score that want business funding, DM me the word or book a call, whatever. That's one angle. But what about if we start saying different point points like you're not stuck, you're unfunded, low cash, so can't scale, your business isn't slow, you're underfunded, right? Like just different points. What if you can buy your next? What if you could buy your next investment at 0% interest? You can't scale if you can't buy inventory. You could double your input if only you could afford the upgrade. You can't scale when you're barely you can't scale when you're barely, because these are like e-commerce angles, right? So somebody that's in e-coms or like selling clothing or whatever it may be, they always need to restock. So like you can't scale because you can barely restock. So that's a very very strong pain point for individuals that need capital. Okay, one funding move can change your whole year. Or you get me? I'm just saying different things. Like I'm sure you could come if you sit down and come up with this, you can come up with way better hooks and angles. But essentially, you have one ABO, one ad set, and inside that one ad set, you have 5 to 30 different pain points that your customer avatar ideally has. Instead of the basic of, do you have a 700 plus credit score and you're looking for business funding, which is what literally everybody's saying. And this is why I want you to understand the difference between saturation and a competitive market, right? So saturation is a saturated market is when the supply of product service is greater than the demand and the market growth has stagnant. This can happen when multiple businesses in the same industry offer similar products or services, right? That is saturation, when literally the demand doesn't meet the supply. Essentially, which if you're in the funding industry, if you're in the funding space, you're not gonna run out of people who need money. I just need you to understand that. There's like 380 million people in America. Like, what is that percentage of those people that might need 50 grand in funding? I would say 80% plus, right? So, like, don't tell me like there's not enough people to get funded, right? Because the demand is there. When you're selling money, funding as a service, right? Everybody needs funding. So it's not saturated, right? Now let's look about competitive, right? A competitive generally defines a situation where which two or more rivals are against one another to gain a desired goal of object, generally result in a victory and a loser. Competition has been long recognized to motive include. Essentially, this is what I want to to tell you, because I made a video about this also not too long ago. I feel like I said that like 4 or 5 times this video. Sorry about that, but like I have made videos about all these topics separately. I'm just making it all together. But the thing is, like, you want to ask yourself, well, before we get there, the real problem with saying that the market is saturated is that you have no control, right? If you're telling me having the market is saturated, you're literally just forfeiting and saying, I have no control of my business. I cannot fix it. It is saturated. I am fucked. There's nothing I could do. And that's it. You're done. Close the shop and go start working 9 to 5. But if you say we're in a competitive market, you have the solution is that you have full control, right? And how will be the solution, right? The solution could be multiple things. The solution could be, how can I be better, more specific? Like, how can I be better than the competition, essentially? Because if you said the market is saturated, you're not going to improve of anything, because it's like, okay, it's saturated. I can't do anything. I have no control. But if you say it's a competitive market, now you have control. So you can ask yourself, how can I be better? More specifically, how can I market myself better? How can I have more people to trust me? How can I be a better closer? How can I be a better leader? How can I deliver results faster and better for my clients? How can I increase LTV? Right? Those are questions you want to ask yourself to become a way better version than your competitions. Because when you say the market is saturated, you just lost control. You just lost all control of how to scale your business. So instead of saying that it's saturated, say, hey, look, we're in a competitive market, meaning I just gotta do better than everybody else. And now you just gotta do the work. But that's the problem that people have. If they do admit that it's a competitive market, they have to admit that they're just not good enough, right? And then they just suck at being an entrepreneur or running that current business, which is tough to say. To look at yourself in the mirror and be like, fuck, I just not as good as I thought I was. And that's why everybody's beating me. And you just gotta flat out and say it. I am not as good as I think I am. I need to either get better help, get better information, maybe get a mentor, maybe buy better systems, maybe create better systems, maybe hire better. Maybe you're really good, but you're surrounding yourself with B players or C players or even worse, D players, right? So like you're like the only person driving the ship forward, and everybody you in the back is just like chilling and cruising, right? So it could be multiple problems that you have, but at least if you admit that it's a competitive market and you're just not as good as the competition, you didn't lose all control of the business, and that's just something you can actually do. Okay? So these are the things that I look at and some of the frameworks I look at when I'm helping people understand they're trying to scale. And the reason why I put the competitive part and the saturation part, because I get people, in the credit space, funding space, or even the tax space, it's like, oh no, it's just my market is saturated. Like there's too many people doing what I'm doing. Okay, but are you better than them? Are you getting better results than them? Are you doing it in a quicker time frame than them? Do you have better systems? Do you have better employees? Right? And the answer is no. Now you need to be honest with yourself. It's like, no, the answer is no. Actually, I need to work on that. I need to work on better systems. I need to work on hiring better. I need to work on training better. I need to work on better ads. I need to work on a better sales process. I need to work on getting my clients faster and better results. I need to build better funnels. I need to be better at everything. I need better SOPs. I need there's just a whole tiered list of things you can improve. But you're just watching a YouTube video, so I don't know who the fuck you are or what the problem in the business is, but you know what it is. You're just not facing it, right? And stop it with the market is saturated thing, because it's gonna keep you from scaling. If you think the market is saturated, you're never gonna start thinking about how can I, do 10x or 5x or whatever the number is of what you're currently doing it, because you're like, why would I do that if the market is saturated? There's no way I could do $1,000 a day in ad spend. There's no way I could do 100 DMs a day because the market is saturated. I can't get to work, right? Because it's too many people. So why? You get me? So this is why I'm telling you, this type of mindset will keep you capped from scaling, because it's not the right mindset. But now when you say, okay, I need I'm in a competitive market, I need to improve my systems, then you look at the core four and you improve on the one you're doing, right? Improve the 100 DMs a day, improve the 100 cold DMs a day, improve the content, improve the paid ads, right? So the main problem is that people do a shitty job at, let's say, 100 DMs a day, and they think it doesn't work. They do a shitty job putting the most AI generic content a day, right? And they're wondering why they can't grow because your content is shit. Or they're spending $100 a day on ads, and then they spend like a grand or two, and they tell me, oh, ads don't work. But then again, Facebook is valued at $1 trillion company, not because it's a social media, but because it runs ads and people spend literally billions and billions of dollars a year in their platform. That's why they're valued at $1 trillion company, right? So if ads don't work, then how come people like myself are spending 40, 50, 60K a month on ads, and other people are spending literally billions of dollars a year on ads if it doesn't work? Is that maybe that what you're currently doing is not working, and that is something that you could do. Because if you say, it's the same thing. If you say, oh, ads don't work, you just lost all control. Oh, ads don't work, so I guess I'm not gonna do nothing. Oh, content doesn't work, so I guess I'm not gonna do nothing. Oh, sending DMs doesn't work, so I guess I'm not gonna do nothing. Oh, sending cold DMs or warm DMs doesn't work, so I guess I'm not gonna do nothing. You get me? So that's why you gotta be brutally honest with you. So that's why I love entrepreneurship. This is why I read like all the books that I have over here, because I'm reading now like 4 months this month, because I'm trying to educate myself as much as possible. I'm trying to learn as much as possible, right? Because the more I teach myself, the better person I could become, and the better entrepreneur I become to run this business correctly. Because the business is the right deflection of who you are. The main difference between me and you is the knowledge that I have and the experience that I gathered from the last 4 or 5 years of me being an entrepreneur, right? That is the main difference. I bet if you had the same knowledge that I have and the same experience, you could also be doing 150K, 200K per month. I guarantee it. Because for me, I got on 3 different businesses up to 6 figures per month. And every time I did it, I grew the business faster and faster. The reason why, like, it took me, like, the first business took me like 7 or 8 months. The second business took me like 4 or 5 months. The third business took me like 2 months, and I was already like 100K per month, right? Because I already know what I'm looking for. I already know what I need to do. I know the level I need to get to, right? Like level of quality in order, like the ads need to be this, the funnel needs to be this, the sales process needs to be this, the fulfillment needs to be this. Like I already know the pieces I need to do to scale. So if the main difference between me and you is knowledge, then you got to go acquire that knowledge and then either get it from somebody like me, get it from somebody else, actually implement and start working on making things better, right? Like improve yourself so the business can be improved. Okay, so that's it for this video. I made it a little bit longer than I wanted to. It's almost 50 minutes, so I want to wrap it up there. But again, if you want us to help you do this, you could definitely book a call with us and join our inner circle, where we help you pretty much go from 10K to 50K to 50K to 100K per month. Or if you're brand new to the funding industry and you want to learn more about funding and you want to be sure that you can get your clients results, you can join our school. The link down below. It's only $9 a month. Well, we have weekly calls. We give you everything you need to fund your clients, and you can start making your first sale by learning how to fund yourself. Okay. See you guys on the next one.